If you're in sales, there's no doubt one of your goals is to earn more money. In this video, I'm going to share with you 5 techniques that I've used and my coaching clients and all the different sales teams I've worked with over the years have used that have resulted in them earning more money. If you watch to the very end, there's a little bit of an extra tip or a bonus tip that I share with you that will help you further expand on these results. Hi, I'm Shawn Casemore, and I help you learn how to be a high-performing sales professional so that you can earn more money in less time. If that sounds good to you, make sure you like this video and click the subscribe button so you can be notified each and every time I release a video. If you're in sales, then it's more than likely there's commission or maybe a bonus of some kind tied to your compensation. You might be 100% commission, or maybe you have a base plus commission, but here's the key. What this really means is that whether it's a bonus or commission, the more you sell, the more money you make. So today I'm going to share with you 5 techniques that many of my students and coaching clients, and even I've used over the years, that have helped to sell more, resulting obviously in earning more commission and more bonuses. So let's jump in to number 1. First off, I want you to think about slowing down the sale. In other words, sometimes you need to slow down in order to speed up. Here's what I mean by that. A lot of my coaching clients tend to jump to a proposal or jump to a quote. Maybe they're giving a presentation to a group of people. Maybe they're giving a virtual presentation of some kind. But what happens is eventually somebody says, well, can you send us a quote for that? Could you give us a proposal that encompasses what you're talking about here? And of course, the instant reaction for many sales professionals is to say, awesome, sure, this is great, as if that quote is automatically going to lead to the sale. The reality is, in many cases, we get asked to give a quote in order to shut us down, to stop us right there, right? Because, and you probably know from experience, many of those quotes, when you get asked early on, those quotes end up disappearing. We never hear from those people again. What you want to do is slow down the process of getting to the quote. If somebody says to you, hey, can you give me a quote for that? And you're really not that far into the discovery discussion, or you're not that far along in building some level of rapport, then say to them something like this: I'd be happy to give you a quote, but there's a few things I want to cover first and a couple more questions I have for you. Would that be okay? Right? So what you're doing, in essence, slowing down the sale and letting them know, hey, that I'm not just here to quickly make a sale, and letting them know that I'm not just here to make a quick sale to you. What I want to do is make sure I understand your situation, your needs, so that I can provide you the best solution. So this really builds trust, and it ensures that you're not being pushed out the door with that typical, hey, give us a quote for that, will you? Here's the second technique. You know, if you've been in sales for any period of time, you've heard the pricing objection. Your price is too high, you're gonna have to reduce your price. However it comes across, here is the key. Don't focus on price, focus on return on investment. So at the end of the day, when you think about it, when the company or the individual you're dealing with is considering making a buy of some kind, whatever it is you're selling, what they're really doing is calculating, if I spend X, what does Y look like, right? So in simple form, something we can all relate to: if you buy a car for X price, how many years will you get out of that car before you need to buy another one? And what are the costs, what are the expenses, etc., right? That's really figuring out your total cost, which then helps you identify return on investment. So if I'm paying about $500 right now to repair my current car and keep it on the road, and I can buy a new car with full warranty and literally no repairs, at least early on, for $300 a month, not sure where you'd find a car for $300 a month, but it is possible. If that was the case, it would probably make sense to get into that new car because I'm saving $200 a month and my return on investment happens much faster, right? So when it comes to whatever it is you're selling, make sure you're clear on the return on investment that you provide your buyer. That return on investment is really going to be, if they spend X, how long will it take to earn that money back? And they earn it back in time. They might earn it back in labor savings. They might earn it back in productivity. They might earn it back in better quality. They might earn it back in improved logistics, right? There's a whole list of things that you want to look at when it comes to, if you sell them X, what is the return they'll get based on that investment? And that return on investment is what matters. Price doesn't matter. If somebody says to you, your price is high, you need to respond with, well, hold on a second. Let's look at the return on investment you're getting. Now, I'll create another video on calculating return on investment in the future, but for now, focus less on price, more on return on investment, and you'll be able to eliminate, if not at least delay that pricing objection, allowing you to add more value, which will move you to the sale much faster. Technique number 3. When it comes to making a sale, in today's day and age, you're going to deal with a lot more than typically one person. You may be speaking with one person initially, but oftentimes they're going to take your quote, your proposal, your idea, your concept, whatever it might be, back to other people, right? To have a conversation, to discuss the return on investment you've been talking about per our previous technique. But the point is this, there's more than one person involved in the sale in most cases. Now, if you're dealing with a small business, maybe not. Maybe it's just the owner and that's it. But if it's bigger than a small business, right? Chances are there's going to be multiple people involved. So I want you, technique number 3 is to pay attention to all involved. Don't just hone in on the one person you're talking to. And if you're only talking to one person and you're sure there might be more people that could influence that decision, ask, who else might be involved in this decision? In a conversation, maybe you're exploring the benefits, the features, you're asking some solid discovery questions, and at some point you've noticed, well, I'm pretty sure there's going to be more than one person involved in this decision. Then you stop and you say something like, let me ask you a question before we go further. Who else might be involved in this decision if you decide to proceed with this?
Who are you people?
Now, chances are they're going to tell you, and if they share with you a list of people, or even if it's one more person, at that point you want to pause what you're doing and say, well, how about we get them involved? Or what would be the best way to get them involved so we could have this conversation together? Because if they share there's more people involved, you need to immediately realize, holy cow, I have to be able to get in front of other people, right? Because the chances of this one person selling your solution for you, slim to nil. It can happen, but it would be better if you could get in front of all those people yourself. So you want to make sure if you believe there's more than one person involved, which is typically anything beyond a small business, and by the way, small businesses can still have multiple people involved, then you want to early on in the discussion ask who else might be involved. Once they share some additional names, then you want to say something to the effect of, how might we get them involved, or how might we go and see them with this idea to get their feedback? That will allow you to ensure that you're engaging everybody involved in the sale, which dramatically increases your chance of closing and obviously speeding up that close as well. All right, if you're enjoying these tips around how to sell more and ultimately earn more money, make sure you click that subscribe button so you can be notified each and every time I release a new video like this. And I really appreciate if you click the like button on this video, because that means more people can see it and we can spread the good news. Technique number 4, when it comes to any kind of a sale, whether it's a complex sale or a simple sale, you always want to provide some degree of options. Now, there's arguments over how many options. Maybe it's 2, maybe it's 4. I don't think it's 10. 10 gets a little too complex. And if you looked at any of the recent studies, buying is becoming more and more complex, meaning that buyers today are having a harder and harder time deciding on what to do. So too many options is a bad thing, okay? And again, depending on what you're selling, you know, that number may shift. But one option really puts out a question, which is, should I take it or should I leave it, right? So if I said to you, again, I'll use the same analogy because most of us can relate when it comes to a car. If I said to you, well, this is the car we have, this is the car you need, are you ready to go? Well, if that car doesn't have the right color, it doesn't have the right features, maybe there's the wheels are different on it, you wanted some window tint, whatever the case might be, there's other options you'd like to see. And if I say it's this, you really have a decision to make. Am I going to buy this one or go down the road and look for other options?
Your choice, it's simple.
So when it comes to making a sale, if you want to increase your chances of closing that sale, you need to provide options. Now, again, depending on what you're selling, those options can differ. It might be, if you're selling a service, it might be additional benefits that the buyer will gain by investing in the service. If you're selling a widget, it might be simply more of those widgets or complementary widgets to go with it, right? If you're selling something like capital equipment, it might be additional warranty, it might be service. Right, for many years, a lot of dealerships started including oil changes at no cost. But what was really behind that was, if you go into any dealership, they don't just do oil changes, they do service packages. So what they would do is say, well, this oil change is free. The next oil change is part of a service package, so I'll discount that $200 service package by $30. Their goal was really to get you into the store, and they were simply giving up a small piece of their profit to do so. But ultimately, the strategy worked. So whatever you're selling, ask yourself, can I give some additional options here? Because then I move my buyer from a decision of do I or don't I, should I or shouldn't I, to which one makes the most sense for me. Okay, this last technique, technique number 5, it may differ depending again on what you're selling. But I work with a lot of teams who sell technical solutions, right? They can be engineering, they can be finance, whatever the case might be. It's a technical solution. It's not that simple, okay? And here's the key. When you're in a situation of making a buy and when you're calculating return on investment, like we talked about earlier, those are all very logical points that you're making to your buyer. But we need to ensure we include emotional points as well. And emotional points usually point back to the buyer themselves. Although we might go through and say, well, if you buy X, the return on investment is Y. We talk about maybe some of the benefits, but at some point I want to shift to more emotional benefits, such as how will this help you save time? How will this help your team be more productive? Will your team be less apt to ask you questions if we go with this solution, right? Those are very much buyer focused and very emotional. And what I mean by emotional is the buyer themselves will determine the degree to which there's an impact. So you might find you ask that question, the buyer goes, no, it's really no different. In which case you realize, okay, maybe not a highly emotional buyer, so either I turn up the dial on the emotional question and really zero in on the buyer themselves, or I realize this is very much a logic focused buyer and they need to soften up my emotion. I'm not going to engage them in a lot of emotional discussions here. But the point is, you have to present emotional type questions and help your buyer make an emotional connection with your solution. So if I'm offering to sell you a widget and my widget has the best reputation, the best warranty, and the best price in the business, that's all very logical, right? Price, warranty, quality, all very logic based, and I can prove that with information and data, etc. Emotion would be more about how will this help you save time? How might this help you reduce injuries? How will this help you improve the morale amongst your team who are able to be more productive, right? They experience less downtime. So notice how I took in that last one a very logic statement and I brought it back to an emotional one. So make sure when you're trying to move the sale forward that you incorporate not only logical points, but emotional points. Emotion is what gets people to sit up, really think about, okay, is this the right solution for me? And ultimately engage in that conversation, right? Logic is something that gets people to think about, well, is this the right calculation? But emotion brings people into the conversation and engages them. And that's ultimately what will help you move that sale forward. All right, so I said to you earlier, I'd give you a little bit of a bonus tip, and here it is. If it comes to selling more and earning more, that's my secret strategy for you. And I call it the ABPs of sales, right? Always be prospecting. With enough prospects, you'll never have any sort of concerns about nothing to close because you're always bringing new leads into the pipeline. Now, if you've been in sales for any period of time, you'll know that one of the greatest challenges to sales is staying on track with your targets, your goals, and your activities. For that reason, I created what I call the 30-day sales action planner. It's free of charge. I've given it to all my coaching clients and those that I've worked with over the years, and there's a link down below. Make sure you grab your copy, give it a try, and see what you think. Let me know. If it doesn't work for you, let me know. I'd be happy to make some changes for you. But click that link below. There's no cost involved, but you can use this to help track your progress as you go. What I find is regardless of how good software becomes and how strategic CRM tends to be, sometimes it's just nice to write out those goals and track our progress with little check marks every single day. If, in fact, you want to be better in sales, you want to sell more, and you want to earn more money, you need to improve your influence. Make sure you click here for the next video and where I give you the strategies about how to be more influential in sales. And until next time, make sure you get out there today. Let's go sell something.